Hey. Oh, you all right there? Oh my goodness, sorry.
If you are tuning,
oh no, Chris.
Okay.
All right. Well, hey everyone. I'm Phoebe Chung Chua, and I'm the host of the Brand Journalism Advantage podcast. And you're watching our video storytelling Blab. So thanks for being with us. We've got some great information for you. We're going to be demoing a lot of stuff, and some of this, I got to be quite frank, we're testing it out ourselves to see how it works with Blab. So that's some of the software that if you caught the video tease that I put together yesterday, it shows how a switcher works. And so I'm going to be showcasing that because this is very cool for Blab and for Google Hangouts and webinars for your business. So you can see we can make changes and we can do cuts so that you can literally have a newsroom right from your office, your studio, your home. It's perfect. So I want to introduce my guests on the call today. We've got Chris Brake, who's with Chris Brake Photography. Hey there, Chris. How are you?
Oh, good. Thanks, Phoebe. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. And doing great. Yeah. Having a great day.
Oh, it's going to be awesome. And Bill Lanzarata. And Bill is the owner over at San Diego's Voice and Video Sales and Repairs, a very cool shop. Hey there. How are you, Bill?
Doing good. How's everyone doing over here today? This is
they're all screaming out.
I'm used to the
maybe they'll give us some. Maybe they'll give us some props at some point. But this is so cool to be doing this because you guys are definitely pros in the field. And what I really wanted to do is bring us all together. I'm a former TV journalist and really entered into the digital space and became a brand journalist and a coach and consultant for companies and entrepreneurs to help them grow their online business as well as their brick and mortar business. So I'm going to showcase some of what's in my toolkit. Chris is going to do that, and Bill is going to showcase what he's got in the store. And you've really built that store out, right, Bill?
Yeah, if you've ever been over here, we're over in Kearny Mesa, right off of Claremont Mesa, off the 805. If you've ever been here before, you see lots of walls, lots of old used equipment. We've completely remodeled this year. We don't deal with used equipment. We're trying to stay on the cutting edge of the technology, everything from small handheld gimbals to larger production equipment here. So.
Yay, Smarter San Diego, we see you. Cool. That's a buddy of mine over there. If you see in the chat, the live chat window, if you want to ask us a question, feel free to drop it in there. We're here to answer your questions for about the next hour. But I want to kick this off with a little bit of a presentation because we said this is about the art of storytelling. And to do that, you obviously have to have the right gear, but you got to start with the right foundation. And so I'm using my switcher again, and this tool is super cool, and I'm going to show you the back end of this in just a little while. But I first wanted to kick it off by talking about what I mean by brand journalism, and this is all about brand stories that marry an issue with a business to tell a compelling solution. And when I'm talking about this, I'm talking about a form called brand journalism. So many of you guys are content marketers. You speak the language. You know what I'm talking about. It's about that storytelling. But brand journalism differentiates itself from what I would say, is inbound marketing of content marketing in this way. I believe brand journalism to be meaningful content that connects an audience with a brand through a credible journalistic style of storytelling. And this storytelling is focused on the consumer. So let me move that for you. And by the way, you see all these cool lower thirds all coming from this software that we're going to demo a little bit later in this episode of the Blab. Content marketing is defined this way by the Content Marketing Institute, the practice of creating relevant and compelling content in a consistent fashion to a targeted buyer, focusing on all stages of the buying process, from brand awareness through to brand journalism. So what that actually does and why this is so important to brands is it marries it all together. And if you see in these bubbles here, you've got brand journalism right there and content marketing on the other side. But in the center of it, where it overlaps, is in that consumer-centric quality content that's created. And from that, you have what I call an opportunity to connect with the media, to tell your brand story beyond your brand, and to get it actually into the media in what I call piggyback journalism. And that is where it literally catches the attention of the media and allows the media to potentially pick your story up and run with this. So that's what I refer to as piggyback journalism. And why it's so important today is because it's going to take you beyond just blogging for yourself, but it's actually going to create great content that might be picked up if you're doing relevant content that the media is interested in. So with that, that's kind of the background of where we're going, recognizing that the stories you tell have to actually amuse, educate, decide, or inform every single time you're posting. Now, the toolkit that we're going to open up is going to be everything from using your smartphone to shoot to, some of the DSLRs and the stabilizers. So I want to bring Chris in right now to talk a little bit about his toolkit and share with us, what you're doing in the field. Chris?
Yeah. Hey, thanks, Phoebe. Yeah. So, there's so much going on, as you know, with technology in general. Especially with, cameras and video and phones. Phones. I couldn't even imagine that. If somebody would have told me this 10 years ago that we'd be doing high definition on our cell phones and making videos on our cell phones, I wouldn't believe it. And so it's super cool to see the technology and how fast it's come. With as far as my toolkit, I actually keep it pretty simple. Obviously, if I had a lot of money, then my toolkit would probably be a little bit different, but not much different, to be honest with you, because I've always kind of been a bare essentials type of guy, where I really don't. It's great to have the $12,000 or $15,000 camera, but realistically, do you really need it to get the job done? And
well, you know what, Chris? That's the point in what we're doing here today is that what you can do using a Logitech webcam. You can use just your smartphone. And then, of course, you're going to use some stabilizers, and we're going to showcase a little bit more of them. But I'm going to just give you a preview. This is one of my favorite. Right, Bill? Sweet. Yeah. I'm telling you.
I'm actually sold out of that one right now.
All right. Well, I'm not giving this one back. No, I'm telling you, this is an awesome tool. And when Bill introduced me to it, I was like, what? It's kind of tricky because you have to balance it with, these little weights here. And I'm going to show you some video in just a little bit. We're going to pop a video in and you'll be able to see that. But what this does is you put your phone inside it. And so once your phone is in this, then you're literally able to turn it on at the bottom here, and it stabilizes all of your shots. So you could practically run with this and get great footage. Now, what I love about this is if you are a traditional journalist, and believe me, many of the journalists today are shooting with their smartphones, and it holds an iPhone or, that other brand. But, it's great. But can you tell I'm an Apple lover? But, no, seriously, it holds whatever you want, and it works great. And then there's a lot of great things that you can attach to it. So like microphones and things like that. So, Bill, why don't you showcase some of the microphones and some of the technology that you're using over there?
Yeah, so with the iFly X3 Plus you have there, that system is running around like $349. It does come with an adapter inside the case. It comes with a nice carrying case. I wish I had them. I literally sold my last one yesterday. It was supposed to be here for the show, but it's gone now. So I do have the iFly X3 Go. This is a GoPro version. But the iFly X3 Plus that she's talking about does come with a GoPro adapter. But for audio, there's lots of different options you can do with mounting to the top of your camera, to the side of your camera. And I've just got a handful here. This is a great little piece here. This is the Rode IXY stereo microphone. It's extremely small, but creates nice broadcast recording for you here. So it is, you can see that right there. It connects right through your phone through the Thunderbolt port versus going right into your mic jack. So this one retails around $229. It's a little bit more expensive, but this is broadcast quality. Other more affordable options, we got the Video Mic Pro and the Video Mic Mini. These guys can mount right to your camera, to your DSLR. This is not something you want to put on your phone. They're a little bit too bulky unless you have a mounting system. So, but those are some of the really nice one to put on your phone to use is the Smart Lav Plus. So this is a little lavalier that goes right into your phone. This is from Rode. They're really affordable. They're $79. As you can see in the picture here, it just connects right to your phone jack. And it creates just that broadcast quality audio right to your phone. So, and the app is free from them, and you sync it later in post when you're editing. So.
Awesome. And hey, Smarter San Diego, thanks for that that little comment there about the mic. Yeah, I love this mic, and I will tell you, I have the Heil. Bill, refresh my memory. It's a Heil PR40, right? For podcasting. So, yeah. And I use that, and actually, it's not this one, but I got to tell you guys, this mic is sweet. This is, I want to, hold on. It's the Audio Technica. And we've got a page that we're going to put up with the resources for all these things. So it'll be in the blab notes. But the Audio Technica is like absolutely one of my favorite mics. It's, I want to say it's under $100. It might even be under $80. And it's awesome. Whenever I'm on, what's that?
I think it's like 89, something like that.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, under $100. And every time I do a podcast, people are like, oh, it sounds so good. And literally, I mean, I'm, in a pretty open space. So it's not like I'm in some studio like I was back in the news days. There's a lot of sound. I've got tile floor. So, and the fireplace going. So, so there's a lot of ambient sound, but this microphone is great because of the fact that it allows you to be able to connect it right in through a USB. So that means when I'm on the road and I'm trying to catch a story, I can just plug this in really fast and it works well. So let me show you a couple other things that are in my toolkit. And then we'll get to some of the video. And if you do have questions, let me know. Just pop them in over there. And hey, maybe as I'm showing this stuff, Chris and Bill, you guys can be sure and stay following up with the chats over there on the right, because we're juggling a lot of stuff here. And I'm going to do another transition here and get this set for you. But this is where you can find me on thinklikeajournalist.com and the podcast that I do. I've got about 240 episodes out. And let me just get this ready. Okay. So let's cut back. This is my toolkit. Let me see. Can you see that? Not really, huh? Okay, here we go. So in it, this is just one of the toolkits that I have. So I'm going to pull out a bunch of stuff. But this is like what I would consider. So let's say I'm going to Thailand or Mexico, two of the places that I visited within the last year and a half, and or Costa Rica, and I'm ziplining, not exactly wanting to carry all of that gear like a DSLR while you're ziplining and stuff. So what I've got is a bracket, and this bracket is going to attach to your smartphone. So you're going to pop it off. And you're going to put on this bracket. And I'll tell you what, even people who aren't doing this for a living, like maybe they're just going on a cruise. My sister's going on a French Riviera cruise. Lucky her. And she really got into this. So the marketplace is changing as far as who wants to use their smartphone simply because it's so portable. So, I like you, Chris, used to be like, hey, you got to have that, really expensive camera. And I'm not knocking it. I think it's important. I love my Canon DSLR, but there's something about this that when you are on a trip and you want to be a little discreet, you don't want those DSLRs, right? You don't want to become a target. So especially if you're a female and you're traveling on your own, you want something easy. Now, of course, this is going to stack it out a little bit more, but you can see you've got this bracket. Now, what I've put on here is a telephoto lens. Can you see that? And it's got this hole on the bottom, so you can attach it if you wanted to a, tripod or some sort of a light stand or something like that. Or what I do is I use what's called a shoulder pod, and it looks like this. All of these, again, will be in our resource links at thinklikeajournalist.com, and I'll hook you up to Bill and Chris as well. Okay, and so when you put this on, now, this isn't really made for this in the sense of when you have the bracket on, it's going to go at sort of the last quarter portion of it. And I'm a little uncomfortable with that. So if you have a smaller phone, this is the iPhone 6 Plus, it might not work for you with this bracket. But I've already talked to the makers of the bracket and the lenses for smartphones, and they said they're going to come out with some other case so that it can hold better. But what I want to show you is in the interim, you can make this work. So this is something that enables you to get in and get really tight shots using the telephoto lens. And then you've also got a wide angle lens. And the difference is pretty amazing, what you can do with it. So this is one setup that I like to use. And then
can I add?
Yeah, please jump in.
Everyone needs to get away from holding their smartphone and shooting.
Yes.
Especially go sideways here.
Yeah.
That's a good tip. That's a very good tip.
That is, I actually have a video on my site where I talk about that. One of the things is turn the camera this way. That's how we're used to watching video. I get that some sites, like when Periscope first came out, nobody liked it because if you turned the video this way, it messed up their stream. So they'd be like, turn it this way, turn it this way. But really, even when you're shooting an Instagram, you can shoot it this way and it'll still look okay. So that's a great tip. I'm going to show you one other lens, and I'll just hold it up here. So this is the telephoto lens, and what's cool about it, it comes with the cap. So it's just like your DSLRs, pretty cool. The one thing I'll point out is technology has to come together, because at this point, if I were to try to use these lenses and then put it in the Fly, it's going to weight it down a lot. And you'll notice that when I turn on this, now let me get it situated here. When you turn it on, it's going to gyrate, and it's not really meant for holding it with a case on. So you have to take the case off, and then you have to take the lenses off. So you really can only shoot with the video, the lens and the camera that's in the phone. So my recommendation there is always to move your feet, and make sure that you are actually getting to a point where if you need to get close to what you're shooting, get in close. Don't use the digital zoom because it's going to come out grainy. So always move in closer. And I've got a video that I'm going to queue up for us. But Bill, do you want to add anything to that?
Nothing right now. I'm just
your media moment. Oh my God. Yes. Yeah. Cool. Thanks for joining us.
Here. I know we're going to talk about it later, but this is just a different version. This is where you can start adding. There are heavier from the gimbal that she has. There are steps up where you want to start adding lenses. You want to start adding different features to it. But this is one of our larger ones here. And I know we're going to talk about this a little bit later.
Yeah.
So.
Well, okay. So now let me take this back to show you, because now I've got it. I just want to show you what it does when it starts to. Okay. So let's see if I can. You see what I mean? So it's going to do this, and that's actually what happens when it's trying to balance itself. And so the weights that are on it are positioned so that you can literally put the phone in and make sure that it balances out. Then as you're walking along, you're able to utilize this to steady your shot and make sure that you've got a clean shot. So I'm going to load this up, and Bill, I want you to go ahead and talk about that other gear, because if you are using a DSLR, it's important to have a stabilizer. Chris, remember one of the first times, Chris does a lot of still photography, but remember one of the first times we shot together, and I was like, you got to have, something to stabilize it, because every little bit of movement, I mean, even a breath will shake that DSLR video. And I know in all these reality videos now we're seeing a lot of movement, but the key is, like, if you think about back when The Office was popular, that was popular because they had a specific method for doing it. It wasn't just them messing up. They had a style of movement that added to the storytelling. And so when movement is there, that's okay, but you got to know when to have that movement and when not to have it. And the shake is not the kind of movement we're talking about. So talk about stabilizing with DSLRs, and I'm going to put this together while you do that.
Yeah. So Phoebe's talking about these handheld gimbals here. We carry a lot of the bigger DSLRs. The phone ones, the lenses that she's talking about, they've been getting really, really popular over the past few years. So that's something that we're looking into investing over here. So you're going to start seeing a lot more of those products over here at Voice of Video. But what she's talking about with the stabilizer is it's nice to actually see a camera on it. So as I'm holding this here, this is not turned on here. It's just staying there. This would be pretty close to a balance. It is falling a little bit back, so you can move this bracket forward a little bit so the camera will balance, but it's right about there. So I'm just going to loosen this up here, push this forward just a hair, and I'm maybe moving just a millimeter here, but you can see you didn't even see a much of a movement there, but now it's not moving at all. And this I'm not even turned on here. So this is where you want to get any gimbal or any stabilizer, you want it to balance it there. And then right when you turn it on,
you're turned on now. Okay.
Turned on. So you're able to move back, forward, side to side, and have that really stable, clean shot. So instead of having just that one shot, you can actually get a little curve. And a lot of these stabilizers, when they first came out a few years ago, were thousands of dollars, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. This right here, this is the iCan DS1. This one will hold up to 3.7 pounds. So if you got like a Mark II, Mark III, this will definitely hold it. You can put a small little monitor or a small little mic on top of it. You can't get you can't put too much more on top of it. So, but this one right here, the DS1 goes for around $749. And it's really cool because it does have a little controller right here, as you can see, and this acts as a joystick. So instead of just following where I'm going to point here, I'm used to having a 16:9 screen, we're at 4:3. I can actually just use the joystick here and do my pans and do my tilts.
Nice. I like that.
Just right there. So
I knew you'd love that one.
Yeah, it looks good. I saw it before when we went in there, but I've never really didn't see it. I haven't seen it in action until now.
There's also a smaller version. This one being $749. It is for the heavier cameras. There is also the iCan MS1, and that'll hold like your Sony A7S, a little Blackmagic Pocket Cam. It holds up to 1.7 pounds. So I mean, great little systems here, especially if you're trying to just take that next step versus just having that handheld. Because turn this off here. When you're holding here, just like Phoebe was saying, you take a breath, you're moving. That camera's moving. You take a step, that camera's moving. When you're just standing there, you're actually probably swaying. You're not used to just standing perfectly still. So having that stabilization is huge with these guys. Let's see. Just what Phoebe was talking about with the phone one. The iFly X3, I wish I had the X3 Plus, the one she has. Like I said, I'm sold out of it right now. They don't have the little controllers on there, but they're much more affordable. They're in the $300 to $379 range for these guys. So this one is particular for the GoPro. But what's really cool about the X3 Plus, it's like $50 more than this. It comes with the mount for your iPhone, and it also comes the mount for a GoPro as well.
Yeah.
So,
and this, okay, so I wanted to show you. So I hooked it up. I'll tell you what, when I first messed around with this, I was like, I hate it. But I felt the same way about Twitter too. I hated it at first and had to learn how, how it works. I had to learn what the platform's all about and who, really wants to engage there and how you do it. So it's the same thing with technology. So here we turn it on. And you see it kind of spins around and it starts to do its gyration as it's balancing out. Now it's balanced out. Now, a few things I love about it is it's lightweight. So if you can see that, it's super easy to move. But because it's so easy to move, remember, if you're moving around like this, your shot is going to suck. So here's the number one tip that I have. Well, okay, let's call this number two because Bill said number one, don't shoot vertically. Number two is let the scene unfold in front of you. So I can't tell you how many times I see this mistake. It's like, as a video journalist for more than 20 years in commercial TV, we let the scene unfold in front of us. You do not need to always move. That being said, what Bill was saying earlier is even if you are not moving, there's still some movement in your hands. Like, you've still got some shake. And these cameras do have, or these phone cameras do have great stabilization in them. But if you're going to do a walk and talk, or if you're a vlogger, and you won't like, NAB's coming up, National Association of Broadcasters coming up. So that is a packed show. And a lot of times you'll see people out there doing interviews on the fly. I can fly. So you've got this and you're able to, literally turn it so that you can have somebody in the shot with you and you can shoot it one-man band if you want. So when I shoot one-man band, I'm going to turn it off so that it stops its little gyration. I'm going to use this. And this is the Rode. I think, weren't you showing this earlier, Bill?
That is the Rode Smart Lab Plus.
Yeah. This is sweet. I love this. And not very expensive either. So all of these things, I'm all about, saving money, helping you guys find gear that is going to work for you. You're back, Chris.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay. No worries. All right. So you're going to clip this on, lavalier. And you're simply going to plug it in to your smartphone and you will get such a better feed. So over on my brand, theplantbaseddiet.com, coming up later this week, I've got videos that I shot from a conference that was huge. It was the Natural Products Expo West, which gets, at least 70,000 vendors. It was wall to wall people. I got stopped so many times because of just this little rig, people going, wow, what is that? Just a great tool that you can throw in your backpack, protect it. And you're able to have great sound too. Now, of course, you're tethered, so you can't get too far away, but in that kind of environment, you're not going to want to be. So again, you also have that little mini mic that Bill was talking about. Hey, Chris, what are you doing? Making your breakfast?
I am.
mute your mic, buddy.
Sorry.
He was showing me, what were you having, your acai bowl?
Yes, I was. I ate that before we started, though. I'm trying to be. Which will actually, this is great. This goes into the next little area here. But what I was actually messing with was my.
Oh, love it. Yep. All right, show us. Show us what you got.
So the Osmo, as you guys know, we all have experience. All three of us have had some experience with it. So, but I love it. I think it's a great one. I think it's better for more of a kind of a daylight situation, low light. It'd be a little bit better, I think. But other than that, though, it's just the functionality on it's pretty sweet. So I mean, it's. But I shot one of my videos with just this, and it came out really well. I was really surprised on how it came out.
And that is that 4K?
Yeah, it's all 4K. You can do 4K. I mean, there's not a lot of things that broadcast in 4K right now.
Right.
So that's the only downside about that. But you can still run it on 4K, which is great. So it's kind of future proof for a little bit there. But mainly I run it in 1080 and then just do the videos there in 1080. So just takes up less space for my needs. But yeah, I love it. I think it's great. I think it's It's good handheld. I think the price point is pretty decent. Like I said, the only downside is you have to have, either buy it, buy the whole kits, and or I was lucky because I already had the camera, because I have one of the drones. I have a Inspire 1, and they're able to kind of talk to each other and do their thing, and so I didn't have to I spent about $250 on the handle, and then came with the mount for the camera as well, or for your phone, because it can basically connect through your phone through Wi-Fi, and it can mount the phone on there, and as you can see down there, you already got it dialed in down there. So, but yeah, it's great. I mean, I think it's awesome, and so it's a really great tool to have, without a doubt.
So this, don't laugh, is my selfie stick.
Whoa. Well, you gotta prepare us when you're breaking that out, Phoebe.
Yeah. Right? Oh, no. Okay. Come on now. I know it's been banned in some areas, but I'm not kidding. When I was shooting in Thailand, I absolutely needed this. There were a lot of boat rides and a lot of small and tight quarters, and those moments when you wanted to capture something. So I love this. And this is just really inexpensive one. I think I got one in Thailand for, I want to say, under $10. This one was $20. This one I happened to pick up at Best Buy. There's a lot of different variations, but one of the things that I like about this, and there's probably other ways you can get it. And unfortunately, guys, I left it in my purse. That's how much I use it, but it's a little remote. And so here's what I do. I don't always use the selfie stick. So what I'll do is I'll connect this, the fly. And then I'm always wearing a crossbody bag for females who wonder, how do you carry the gear? I wear a crossbody small purse. And then I connect my remote, which is just a little Velcro thing that came with this selfie stick. And I connect it there, and then I just press it. So a lot of times, if I really want to be incognito and make sure that I'm getting the footage without people, acting weird, because even though everybody is like a star now on YouTube and Vimeo and Blab and Twitter and Facebook, everywhere, people still can sometimes act up when they know they're being filmed. So that being said, I will, just press it, and I'll get great shots because it can start it rolling. You can also use your Apple Watch if you have an Apple Watch, but unfortunately, the Apple Watch does not do video yet. And you can also use an app called, let me make sure I get this right, Filmic Pro, I believe, I'm not sure if they have a free version. I'm going to look it up for you right now, but I use that one as well. And what that does is that gives you a little bit more, Filmic. And again, all of these links, don't worry about writing them down. We'll have them for you. I'll source it to you. If you go over to thinklikeajournalist.com, you'll be able to see it. And you'll also be able to pick up a guide. So you just want to head on over to thinklikeajournalist.com. But the app is called Filmic Pro. And let me see if I'm able to give you kind of a look. Oh, that might not work. Yeah. So you can see it's kind of loading. Let me do it this way. If you look right there. So can you see it right there? That red one? It's kind of a square box. So that's a great one. And that has an app that's connected to your iPhone, or your Apple Watch. But I have to tell you, these things are not perfected. They're very new. Filmic Pro is good. A lot of filmmakers are using it when they're shooting with their smartphones. I'm talking about the fluidity of using your watch and going to your phone. But the most important thing I want to say is that when you are using a gimbal or you're using the selfie stick, you need a remote. It's just like shooting still photography. It's better to have a remote than to be touching, pressing down on that shutter or something. So that's really important. And that's how I utilize it. So if nothing else, even if you're not going to use the selfie stick, that little remote that comes with it is one of the best that I've found. And it works through Bluetooth, and you're able to just capture anything without people recognizing, that it's happening.
Nice.
So that's a good one, and keeping it very steady. Bill, you want to add anything?
No, that's I did not know you could actually start recording from your Apple Watch. That's probably the only Apple item I have not purchased yet.
Okay, not recording. I'm actually been on them in the forums. You can't record. You can shoot photos. So that's what's cool. Okay, so what happens is you can stick your phone somewhere, off in a distance, and then you can use your Apple Watch. I mean, okay, so this is really bizarre. You guys are going to think, what the heck? Does she ever take a break? When I'm in the sauna, I can actually be wearing my Apple Watch. My phone is in the locker outside of the sauna, and it'll actually take a picture of the locker, inside the locker. So I'm not perking out or anything like that.
Right.
But I'm telling you, I was like, really? Wow, that's pretty amazing. So, yeah, yeah, exactly. So it's super, super cool. So show us some more things that you've got there. Let's talk a little bit about podcasting before we get into this switcher that I'm using. And then I'm going to show you guys how this whole thing works, how you can actually be the media and switch from your desktop. So show us some more gear.
Yep. So like Phoebe was saying, the shooting on a DSLR is great, but with the phones out there now, I mean, with the new iPhone, you can shoot 4K with the little lenses attaching, the little gimbals. It's really going to be really exciting to see what's going to be coming out at NAB coming up this year. A huge important factor about video is audio. And not a lot of people think about that. Hearing echoes in the background. I mean, I'm just using the microphone on my computer right now. We were having some issues earlier, but having good quality audio can make or break a video. If you can't hear the person or you can't understand the person, you can hear stuff in the background, you're going to lose their attention really quick. So it's really important. Like she was showing, the Smart Lav Plus here is a great little tool just to put to your phone. Great price too, $79, and it comes with a free app. The app you can manipulate and change the audio file in there. It's a really cool piece. A step up, like we said, where I was talking about earlier, is the iXY. This is the broadcast stereo microphone that goes into your Thunderbolt port of your iPhone and not your 3.5 jack. So that way you can take a few different signals in here. So it's this guy right here. Let's show you the box again here. This is the Rode iXY. So this connects right to your phone right here. So this you have broadcast quality audio, and it's drawing power right from your phone. So as soon as you plug it in, you can see the little light turns on here. But this is the top of the line right you can get here for your phone. And this guy is, I want to say, is $229. And even though it does cover up your home button, it does have a little button here so you can still turn your phone on. So
that's awesome.
Very,
yeah,
that's really good.
Very cool. Okay, go ahead, Chris.
Oh yeah, no, I was just saying that's very cool. Yeah, I mean the audio part is huge. The video mic, the shots behind you. I've tested those out. Yeah, the Video Mic Pro, the Video Mic, those ones are both I've had really good. But it's huge. I mean, having proper sound is just massive.
Yeah, I mean, without the sound, they're just not going to pay attention, so your sound is super vital. When I'm doing podcasting, I use Skype, and I use a product called Ecamm, and that enables you to record the call. But when I first started, I was actually doing a backup, and I've kind of gone away from that. I was using the Zoom, and I don't have that with me. Actually, it's in another room, but that's a recording device. But today, I would honestly tell you, you can do most of it online. You can use Audacity for recording your video. Recording your audio.
There's my Zoom that I use.
Oh, that's it. Okay, yeah. That's the H4,
yeah,
right?
H4n, yeah.
Yeah. So we have the same one, and I was recording using Ecamm, and then I was using the Zoom, and I had 2 files. But since then, I'm using like what Smarter San Diego was asking. I'm using Audio Technica, and I'm literally recording straight through Skype using Ecamm software. Again, we'll have the links at thinklikeajournalist.com. But I want to go ahead and put this video up. Okay. It won't show in the playback, but we're not going to watch the whole thing. I've got the sound down on it, but this video was shot 100% with an iPhone, and Hey, you guys mute your mics for right now. And so all put together, and I could have literally edited this on my smartphone using a bunch of different apps that make it easy to do. But you can see I'm using the stabilizer and I'm able to get great shots, and then mixing in some still photography. So if you were in a pinch, and you needed to interview a CEO, you're at a conference, like maybe you're going to Social Media Examiner that's coming up here in San Diego, and you want to grab some interviews for your blog or for your podcast, this is a great setup. What I showed you earlier, this is called Camp Onward. It's actually a very cool camp for autistic children that is out in Jamul, and 100% shot with the iPhone. And I was able to help them source this so that now it's on a GoFundMe website. So just wanted to show you a little bit about that. When you go to thinklikeajournalist.com, you will be able to see, if you go under resources, you'll be able to see all of this information, but you'll also be able to see some before and, well, not before and after, but some footage that was shot with the shoulder pod, and then footage that was shot with the stabilizer, and it is tremendously different. Unfortunately, it's processing right now on YouTube, but I'll have that link for you as soon as it's ready. So I just wanted to have you guys see what you can do. You can get super creative with it. But you can see I'm mostly shooting this with different angles that let the scene unfold. So really let the story, what you see out there, let your characters tell that story, and just get different angles. Then you can colorize, you can pull it into Final Cut Pro, or you can edit it right from your phone or your iPad using iMovie. It's a very slimmed down version, but it's excellent. I use Canva for my graphics. So, I can do all of that quickly from anywhere in the world and get it sourced. The main thing is, take action and get it out there, because your whole storytelling art is a waste if it doesn't actually reach out and touch people. So what have you got for us, Bill? I saw you holding up some stuff.
So we were talking a little bit about some audio. I wanted to bring a couple more pieces out. Once you get your podcast going and you want to take that next step into some professional audio without spending a few $1,000s on mics, like we said, we're trying to keep it affordable here. I did bring out a couple other podcasting mics. Now, these are specifically for podcasting. This is the Rode Podcaster, and this is the Shure SM7B. They range in the price range of like $279 to $399 here. But these are great broadcast quality podcasting mics here that I just wanted to show here.
Great, yeah. And, the cool thing about podcasting is it is now so much easier than it used to be. I mean, I remember, I know people on my show, I've interviewed them they've started podcasts back in like 2005. It was tough to do. So today, so much easier. Again, you can do it from anywhere in the world. You can use your smartphone for it, but simple setups like the Audio Technica, using Skype, recording with Ecamm, and you're dialed in, and you can do that on a Mac or that other brand.
And these mics are just USB cables. They come right out of the mic. They go right into your computer. You don't have to go through any mixes or anything. They're great little pieces. So,
perfect.
Okay, so let's show you guys what I'm using to switch around. I want you to just pay attention to this so you can see how it does like a dissolve, a soft dissolve. Let me show you what a cut would look like. And a cut is just like in video editing. If you're not familiar with video editing, it's the terminology when we're cutting from one scene to another. It's more abrupt. In news style storytelling, I often recommend that you don't do a dissolve. It's more popular to just do a cut. If you start watching documentary films, you'll notice that news style is much more abrupt like that. However, there is always, when you're doing brand journalism, brand marketing, there's those times that you want to do that nice dissolve. So if you go back and you look at that video I put together, there's probably a few dissolves in there. What I recommend is all that other all those other effects, unless you're doing something for fun, throw them out. you know, the stars and the circles. And I mean, okay, maybe a swipe once in a while, but you're laughing, right, Chris? Because I remember you said when you first got into it, you're like, hey man, I'm putting in these dissolves, but then you realize it's easier and it's better just to be clean, right? With a cut or a dissolve. But what was your experience when you first started video editing?
I didn't really know anything. I mean, the only thing I really knew was just looking up YouTube videos and how people are kind of putting together some of these other videos, other photographers, other videographers. I'd kind of see what they were doing. The one thing that actually really helped me was actually watching TV. Like I'd watch commercials and I would watch movies and I would just see how they would transition from one scene to the next and how to do it in a way where it looks good. And then I started playing it with myself where it's like, do fade ins, fade outs, do quick, do like the sharp cuts, you know what I mean? Like doing all these different, kind of different angles. So it was really trial and error for me to kind of figure it out on my own. And I'm still learning. I mean, I've created, I think maybe 20 videos and I still go back to those videos and look at them sometimes and I'm like, oh yeah, I could have fixed that. I did that. I mean, what the thing is too, is like, we're such an ADD society nowadays. So, videos, 5 years ago, like if you go back and look at the first YouTube video, it was at the San Diego Zoo and there's a guy standing there in front of like the monkey pit or something like that. And so that's like the starting point to where we're at now. Where it's like, what I've found out is, if the transitions are too long, if you're, literally with a lot of my videos, if the transition's anything longer than 3 seconds per clip, then you kind of lose people and it kind of fades out. You kind of need that boom, 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 boom. And I think that's kind of what keeps people engaged. But there's so many different angles on it.
Yeah. So, real quick, I just want to add to that. I have a video storytelling series at thinklikeajournalist.com that you can get just by entering your email. And what I talk about there is telling your why, which to me is very important. So if you go back and you look at like the Camp Onward video, there's a lot about why they're doing what they're doing, who it's serving. And that is some of the best storytelling that you can come up with because it evokes an emotional attachment. So we're in the era of experiential marketing where people have to have that experience. Why do you think Apple's so successful? They create an experience that lets you feel and embrace the product even before it comes out. And that's what's got people lining up. That's what's got people like me always talking about it because it truly works as it should, but it also creates this experience that the product's going to do right by you. So you're going to go with it. So in your storytelling, you want to tell your why. You want to have your opening line, which is what Chris is talking about. You only have seconds to capture attention. And that might be like if you're doing a story on a water shortage, that might be kind of the toilet flushing or the drain where the water is going down the drain. And we call that in TV news journalism, natural sound, ambient sound. So that's like 2 seconds that catches your attention. In storytelling, one of the most important aspects is to lead by way of example. So to show when you're putting the words and pictures together, I've spent time in magazine writing, radio, print, and TV. But what I love about TV is I can lead you down that path by showing you one little bit of information that's going to make you wonder what's next. So if you're focused in using maybe one of your telephoto lenses and you focus in tight on something and it creates the question in the mind of the viewer. And then your next scene is another question and then another question. And then it connects the story together and leads you someplace. That's going to draw people in. But the final element, especially important with what most of us here on this call are all about, that's branding and marketing, is you've got to have that call to action. So you've got to lead people somewhere so that they know what is the next step. And it should only be one thing because they're only going to really remember or do one thing, if anything at all. So make it simple. Have them go there. Just like we're telling you guys, head on over to thinklikeajournalist.com and then we'll have all of this recapped up by the end of the week with the sources and information. But make sure you have that. Do you guys want to add anything before I show this switcher?
I want to add just one thing. Like we're talking about with the audio, with having that ambient sound. There are some really great resources out there for some licensed music that you don't have to spend hundreds or thousands of dollars on. And I'll put the link here in a second. There's a place called Audio Jungle. So you're creating your own story. So a little background here. We do run the showroom, but I do shoot a little bit of cinematography on the side here. But having a little music in the background can be really key versus just having a stale person talking. Adding, having water or wherever you're at, having that background sound is great. And actually adding a little bit of music. I'm going to put the link here though. It's called Audio Jungle. Great little place to search for
love it. Mm-hmm.
For some background music, and it's all licensed. So if you're doing this for a client and they're paying you for this, this is all licensed music. It runs from anywhere from like $10 to $25 per song, and you own that song for a one-time use here. So
cool. All right. So I want to make sure that we get in a little bit of this. All right. So you can see right now I've got a graphic up. So in TV newsrooms, what's cool, is you've got a director. Back in the old days when I was on TV, you had 3 cameras and you had people manning those cameras. Now it's all robotic. So you might have a floor director who's pointing to which camera you're on and making sure that the anchor's looking at the right camera. But what's really, really cool about this, guys, is I know a lot of you are selling digital products. I know a lot of you are vlogging. You're doing webinars. You're doing Google Hangouts. So this is a software system called ManyCam, and I'm just going to transition to show you my desktop. One of the reasons I installed this, especially for this, was Blab. I couldn't figure out a way to share my screen, and I was like, look, I want to showcase these different slides that I started off the Blab session with. So this enables you to switch, do my transition, which is my dissolve or my cut. And if you're looking here, you can see these are my slides that I've queued up. So in this one, this is like called, I want to say this is like the suite or the director's suite level. And it's not very much. I think it's about $60. And I think that's very reasonable for as much as I use it. But you can see here, I've got the boxes. Now the catch is I can't add Chris or Bill in here because they're not local with me in the same space. So had we done this all from one studio, we could, or one location, I could add them in and we could daisy chain it with USBs and microphones and all of that good stuff. Let me remove this. There you go. So the lower third pops out when I move it. I'm trying to see if I'm able to. Okay, so you can see right over here on my desktop. Let me just pull this and see. Can you see that a little bit better, guys? Chris and Bill?
Yeah, it looks good.
Okay, and you can see down here, can you see these? I know it's hard to read, but these are the lower third areas. So it's as simple as me turning one on and then turning it off. So you can have these set up so that you can have your call to action or, the name, depending on the way you want it. But again, it's so awesome because you're able to switch. So you've got it all queued up and you can go to it. Now with Blab, the way I was doing the video is Blab allows you to drop the video in. Unfortunately, right now, because it is a beta test, they're not recording it. So in the replay, I think it'll just be blank there. You'll hear us still, but you won't actually see the video that I put in there. You'll go to thinklikeajournalist.com to find that video. But this is just awesome. And if you go across the top, you have video, you have effects. Now, for me, this is a little bit more, if you're playing around, if I'm doing some FaceTime with my daughter or something like that, because it's got crazy faces, it's got overlays, all different kinds of things. Then in your gallery, here's where it's going to save a recording of it. So you can actually, once it's done, it'll be dropped here and you can then just drag it to your desktop on a Mac and it will save your content and you can utilize it. You can connect to all of these different platforms. You'll notice I don't see Blab on there. So actually, this is how new it is in this space, right? I actually watched some video tutorials from other people, and they were trying it out on Blab. And at first, I didn't buy it because I saw the free version and I tried the free version and it didn't do certain things. So I was like, oh, this doesn't really work well. So I encourage you, and I did reach out to them in their Facebook, but I encourage you to give it a shot because I'm using it. I think it works perfectly and I'm very happy with it. But if you read some of the forums, they're not updated. So people will say from 2013 or not 13, 2000, what year are we? 2015. Wow. But they'll say things like, it doesn't work with Mac. I'm on a Mac. It's working great. So very happy with it. And I actually have a lot of things, probably more things running than I should. I've got my Final Cut open. I have a product that I use. I'll tell you one last tidbit for processing. It's called Turbo.264HD. This I got at NAB maybe a couple of years ago, and it helps upload your content faster to YouTube or other video sharing platforms. So instead of processing straight from, say, Final Cut Pro, I put it into, let me see if I can show you. I put it into this Turbo. Can you see it here?
Yeah. And what's the name of the program that you're using right there? That whole platform?
ManyCam.
ManyCam, MANYCAM.
You got it.
All right.
Yep. Yeah. So and this is Elgato Turbo, and I'll tell you, I've been meaning to contact them. There've been a couple things that I've not been happy with lately, and that's that every time I drop my video in and I go to start it, and if you're like me and you're processing for brands, it sometimes won't reload the new YouTube channel. So it should be doing that always. So let me see if I can give you a quick look at this. So if I were to go to my desktop and I were to take this. Okay, so this is the video that's sourced from my Final Cut Pro and the demo that I wanted to show you, but it didn't process. So now you see what's happening here. Can you see where it says it's downloading?
Yeah.
Okay, so this, and it automatically puts that migrate movie. So you would, of course, change that to your URL, a journalist.com. But the problem is, see how it's grayed out and I can't connect to the OK? It's because some reason it's getting jammed up. And so what ends up happening is I have to remove it and then I have to add it again. And then it's going to reauthorize my account. Like so. Now it's going to allow me to add it, but you see how it deleted what I did. So I'm just, for the sake of this, we're just going to quickly do it. And now I'm going to process it. So then I'm going to start it. Now here over YouTube HD, you're going to drop down and you've got all these choices. So you can do HD 1080p. Let's say you were just sourcing it for a conference. You could do it that way. I want to source it directly to YouTube. But you saw what I had to do. I had to re-add my account. Now it's processing and it's going to compress it and upload it directly into YouTube for me. So that's a cool tool. It used to, it did come with, a USB that you plugged in, and then it went to I think a downloadable digital. And maybe I haven't updated the software or something because it's kicked me out several times. I'm also, that being said, I'm also carrying a lot of accounts that I'm making videos for. And so it'll kick them out, and not sure why it's doing that. But I still think it's worthy because it does tend to process faster than if I were to just export from Final Cut or, go onto youtube.com and upload that way. So this is ManyCam. All the different things we have been showing are all tools that you can put into place right away. I hope this has been beneficial for you. I know that I've had a lot of fun learning from my colleagues, and I appreciate all of you guys who have tuned in. Many of you are people who have either been on my podcast as guests or you listen in, and I can't tell you, I am so grateful for that because without you, there's no point in what I'm doing. And, it's all this learning experience. So we're going to come together and we're going to showcase, various blabs and information. If you check back, I've got 2 other blabs that are live from last year that I did with past guests on the Brand Journalism Advantage podcast. We'll be doing this more. We'll also travel around and do some live blabs and some Facebook lives. So to test out all this stuff and let you know, if you have questions, you can reach out to me on Twitter at Phoebe Chong Chua. If you don't know how to spell that, go to thinklikeajournalist.com and you can catch me there. And you'll also be able to catch my colleagues on Twitter and Facebook. Guys, want to add anything before we start to wind down? We're at the top of the hour.
Thanks a lot for having me, Phoebe.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks,
Chris?
Phoebe. Yeah, that was awesome. That was good. So, I appreciate it.
One thing I think we forgot to talk about was the wireless lav system here.
Oh, real quick.
Completely forgot about it. Just like the Smart Lav Plus, but it's just a wireless version, so you don't have anything hard connected to your camera here.
I just bought that, so hopefully I haven't had any experience with it yet, but hopefully it'll be a good experience.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. Been a great blab. I hope you all enjoyed it. I hope you learned. We put a ton of information in here, so I will wrap it all up. Give me a day or two because I've got another podcast coming out tomorrow. So I'm going to put this all together and make sure you have what you need. But right now, you can head over to thinklikeajournalist.com and click on the resources or the podcast calendar to see the past episodes. Even people right here tuned in who've been watching the blab have been on the past shows. So I'd love for you to check them out and reach out to other people. I really want to build a community where we can address your questions and we can learn from each other. And I'll also have that video so you can see the difference between the gimbal, the stabilizer that I showed you, and just shooting with the shoulder pod. So big difference there. And this, again, was the shoulder pod. So they come in handy. Thanks for watching. Check us out over at thinklikeajournalist.com and hit me up if you've got some topics you want covered. We're happy to put those together if you have an interest. All righty, gang. Thanks so much. Take care. Bye-bye. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.